B.
And we're live.
All right. I guess it didn't work today. So we're live. Welcome to Earful of Dirt, the Major League Rugby podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Aaron Castro. I'm joined this week by Victor Perez in New York City, Josh Fredland in Denver, Corey Munson in Iowa, and Dan Browne is lost in the wintry subways of New York right now, apparently. So hit us up in the comment section, do some live chatting, answer your questions. How's everyone's week been?
I think things have been good. Had some great rugby this weekend. I don't know about you guys, if you got to catch any of the matches or not.
Well, I definitely wrote an article this weekend. So I did catch that. Josh definitely wrote an article, so he caught one of those. Yeah. And Victor definitely did because I see what he wrote.
That's right.
A lot of good rugby this weekend. I spent way too much time with portions of my family or her family that I don't like. It's like, so everyone who has a significant other knows there's at least somebody you don't like, right? On that side. And, ASU baseball is back. So if you've been wondering where the ASU baseball tweets are, Josh, they're coming. Someone was, I remember last year, like last spring on the board, someone was like, he tweets too much. I think it was Josh. He tweets too much about ASU baseball.
I honestly do not remember that at all.
Oh, man. So, for those new to the podcast, each Monday night we discuss news and rumors from Major League Rugby, the United States Professional Rugby Union competition. It's a chance to discuss the issues, hear from the league, team leadership, check in our friends from across the U.S. rugby scene. Corey, what's going down?
Yeah, we got a heck of a show coming up here, guys. First of all, we're going to talk about a cracker of a match down in Houston where NYAC visited this week. NYAC, that's a different company. NYAC visited this weekend. Just a heck of a match there. Then we're going to transition and talk a little bit about the USA-Chile match. Another heck of a game, a little bit different score line at the end on that one. We've got some news coming out of NYC, some stuff that's going to make Dan and Victor pretty happy, I'm sure. And then, of course, we'll hit up some player signings, some other headlines, tweets, all that fun stuff at the end of the show. So with that, what do you guys say we get this thing going?
Niantic? I mean, I've heard.
I got him.
I've heard. I remember Laffy said it last year. It's like NYAC. I was like, NYAC. I was like, what? What is that? But so NYAC went down to Houston, and I'm gonna have to eat some crow on this. I wanted to see some things happen, and there was not a 50-point difference on the scoreboard. So, Victor, man, tell us about it.
Will do. Okay, two things. One, I really hope that Brooks' family doesn't watch this because this is recorded. So I don't know if they want. I don't know if you want them to know that you don't like.
The ones that matter know who they are, and the ones that don't, I don't care.
Okay, cool. I'm just saying because it's got me really awkward where you said, Brooke, I just saw Aaron's video on YouTube saying he doesn't like us. That's what I assumed.
It's not my in-laws.
Okay, good.
So her brother and his wife came in. They stayed with us this weekend on their trip. They went up to Flagstaff this week, yesterday. They're great people. Loved spending time with them. So it's not them. So if it's you, sucks to be you. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. That's the one. The second one, by the way, Niantic is the developer of Pokemon Go, which is probably why Corey mentioned it, because he probably played Pokemon Go before.
I guess I didn't know that. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not trying to catch them all at all.
It's okay. It's okay, Corey. I was also excited walking around with my phone, with my battery like at 20%, trying to catch a freaking pincer at one point. That was really fun though. It's really hard to catch. Anyway,
so
moving from
later
the
this
Pokemon
week we'll
references.
go ahead and I was gonna say later this week we'll launch our Pokemon Go podcast. So
That would be great. I would love that if we do a Pokemon anything podcast. No, I would love that. I'm a huge fan. So, anyways, guys. So moving back. So going back with NYAC, New York Athletic Club, and Niantic. I'll be honest with you. I never really seen the team play. I've seen All Blue play. I've seen Village Lions play. Heck, I've seen Brooklyn Rugby and Lanzo play. I think I also see the Rockaways team, which is Division 3, but I've never seen NYAC play. But now I understand why they're national champions and why they have won several of the titles as well, and also been runner-ups last year. So they were losing 33-17, 21-point difference by halftime, and came back to lose by 1 point. Score ending at 39-38, which is quite something. Now, the Sabercats, of course, were their usual force at the beginning of the game, putting quick tries, but I don't know what happened to Wam's favorite son, Zach Panchelinin. He was not having the best time at the boot, which is really weird. I don't know. Hopefully he's okay. So Sam Windsor came in, took kicking duties by the end of the first half. The home side pulled all their tries at the first half, and what really saved them from losing was Sam Windsor kicking apparently a 50-plus meter kick that saved the game for them, which was great, by the way. Speaking of which, shout-outs to the Sabercats management team from having a helicopter land in the middle of the field to deliver the kickoff ball, which, by the way, was Ram Rugby branded. So that already started, which is great. Overall, according to the announcement, actually, not the announcement, the commentary, again, by our friend, the rugby evangelist, Mr. Grant Cole and Brett Mills, it was a great game.
Josh, I mean, you wrote the match recap. What did you think went down, man? I listened to the first half. Didn't really get to listen to the second half today, and you're listening to the first half and you're thinking, all right, we're going to see that progress that I was talking about in the preview. And then NYAC showed at least why 50% of Rugby United New York might be pretty darn good next year.
Yeah, I think the Sabercats kind of bought into their own hype just a little because of how well they've done. They got up by a lot, and they just kind of tried to ride them. They tried to ride their momentum. For those football converts, Sam Windsor's kick was about a 60-yard field goal.
That was something else. And so Connor Mills can do the same thing. Like, think about that. Like, they have 3 guys that can just kick from anywhere.
Yeah. And then I guess I got one question for you, Aaron. This might be a nice segue into our next segment. When does Harry Bennett become eligible?
Harry Bennett? Man.
Yeah.
When did he move here?
He seems like he's been here forever.
Yeah, he has been a long time.
I don't know. So, if it feels like a long time, I'm guessing it's been 2 years. Then that would mean, 1 more year probably, because he's grandfathered in under the old rule.
Because I know he played the national championship against the Huns.
But so I mean, if he was here a year and a half ago, he's got at least a year and a half or let's say 12 months to 18 months. But I'm gonna do some in-game research right now, and let everyone know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but wasn't Harry Bennett playing in a pro team?
I I actually have it somewhere. I mean, I sent that to you.
He was like, yeah, he was in Sacramento. I remember.
So 6 months, maybe at most. You think? Since he played at Sacramento.
Mm-hmm. And I think he was already in NYAC before he went to Sacramento. I want to say. So he's probably a U.S. qualified by now. I think.
Hang on. 3. Let's see. Senior player. Oh, come on.
Mm-hmm.
It won't give me his history. So, but I mean, geez.
Well, we can kind of research
moving
that.
on. So he's probably pretty close, if not now. I mean, Dylan Fawcett just became eligible back in the fall. So Bennett was, based on what I listened to, man, he had some handling errors, but in the second half, reading your recap, he was something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As the kids say, he was on fleek.
No.
Is that what they say?
No,
I swear to God, that's what I'm saying now. It sounds stupid, I know, but that's what it says. I swear to God.
He was on fire. On fleek Fleek has nothing to do with being a beast on the pitch. Fleek has something to do with your eyebrows and you're a chick.
Oh, is it? I don't know. That's what I said. That's what the kids say. I'm not kid anymore.
Jeez.
What? Wait, is he Ratchet?
But I mean, for Ratchet and Clank? What?
No, like,
Ratchet. Like,
like a tool.
Ah, okay.
I assume.
Oh, okay.
Ratchet.
I'm sorry. I assume we're talking about Ratchet and Clank, the video game series.
If we're going to go pop culture, Ratchet is not a good thing.
So I did my own homework. Did my own homework. He played for Santa Monica in the PRP back in 2015.
Oh, geez, he's ready to go. Let's go.
Of course, this year. Right. Yeah, this year, right? Of course.
Yeah, let's go. He's ready now.
Sign that man up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
and speaking of USA,
let's move forward. So, the debutante's ball, I guess, for some of them, is the debutante's ball. For others, we got some work to do. No, guys, I sort of have some questions about player selection. Or maybe, they rested Hanko, but is Shermer still not cleared to play? I don't know. So Psalm Wuching, man, when he has the ball, he is near unstoppable, but he's not. He's running straight lines right now. We covered this. I covered this earlier tonight, and he just wasn't there as a 6. Like a 6 is, you always got to be involved in the breakdown, and he was like in the right position, but not involved, if that makes sense. And if he just gets his footwork down with the ball, he will score from anywhere. Like he's got the speed, he's got the physicality. But so right now, I mean, he's really like an impact 14 off the bench, but he's not really a 6 or 7, to be honest. The tactical decisions, I had some questions with. We're at midfield, 5 minutes in box kicking. Bring up some more forwards and get out, and just get the ball to the back line and push. We seem to be doing the same things towards, I guess, the latter part of the Mitchell era. We'll strike fast and then punish on defense to an extent, I guess, play down to our opponent. And then in the second half, we'll just, open up. So you stop the small mistakes, and Chile gets roasted over an open flame, and it's 70-10. So some other guys that really, continue to shine is Dylan Owsley. Al Jabori, that guy's a prospect. He could be, a 6 or a 7 for the next 10 years. Paul Lasike, there were some children on the Chile side that were trying to arm tackle him, and they sort of avoided it after the fact, But so, Josh, what did you think of that?
I thought it was a good match from what I could see. I was out, so I kind of had to watch it without commentary. From what I could tell, it was a great match. Aljabori got his first try. Whippy played a great match. Lasike was a beast. You said you wanted to put Psalm at 13 or 14. I kind of want to see a full back line of Alex Elkins, Paul Muchin, Bryce Campbell, and Paul Lasike.
Not that I want to see him back there. I think his current skill set does not make him a 6 or a 7. He's been selected to the high performance environment, but he's not been playing as much rugby as he needs to upskill him fast enough to be here, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then, he hasn't been announced. We all assume he's going to play in Major League Rugby. Does that help him?
I don't know. He needs to play a lot of rugby in a technical environment and to get because he's an elite athlete. An elite athlete needs, the same kind of environment he had at Washington.
Yeah. And
to develop, because he can be like the guy who becomes the 6 for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Like he can be that guy. He can earn 70 caps. Since we're playing enough now that will allow someone to become a centurion eventually. The interesting concept. Like, what did you guys think of Dylan Owdsley's just awareness with the way he was playing?
I'll take that question. I think I really like Dylan down on the center. In the center pack, and he makes a really good combination, at least by what I saw in the game, with Bryce Campbell. Their pairing looks superb, really. And their awareness of each other, knowing, for example, as Dylan was running, he already knew, at least it seemed to be, that Bryce was either behind him or to the side, and he was able to pass it, and Bryce will, boom, score. Same thing with Bryce when he had the ball. Pass it to Dylan, boom, score. In fact, Dylan scored twice. So I think his awareness of the game is up there, as well as his defensive game. So in both in defense and attack, I got no problem with the kid. And as soon as he gets into the habit with the Legion, I see good things of him, I have to say. Josh, if you want to take the word.
Yeah, Audsley's kind of small for a center. He's only 5'11", 200, but he makes up for that with his smarts.
So he's 5'11", 200. I read 6 foot, 189. So if I stood next to Brocky. So the cards are all messed up. So I'm not sure. I'll have to go measure him myself. I've seen him stand. I've stood next to Brocky. I've stood next to Dylan. They're both taller than me, but Brocky is listed at 6'1", and Dylan is listed at 5'11" or 6 foot, depending on where you look. Brocky is taller.
According to us,
Brocky is taller.
According to our Instagram page, he is 5'11" and 200 pounds. According to our Instagram page.
So, and that's according to what, a DM? So,
well,
my measurements were from the USA Rugby website.
So okay. But he's shown that he can play at a test level at outside center, and 5'11", 200 pounds, that makes him a solid man, to be honest.
True.
Yeah.
Seems kind of small.
So guys, I'm going to go ahead and be the little bit of rain cloud here. As far as my thoughts on the match, I was really concerned about a lot of what I saw out there. It was a hot mess, especially outside of the first maybe 10 minutes of each half. The set pieces were bad. The pass, it was a sloppy middle of the halves. And honestly, if we hadn't been playing Chile this week, I think that scoreline would have been a lot different. And I have some real concerns with Uruguay coming up here in a couple weeks. I think that's going to be a real test for us if we continue with the lineup that we have right now, unless something changes in practice in the next, week and a half. So
I think this lineup will change a little bit for this week, but it's the lineup we had this week is not the lineup we will have against Uruguay. Like, the first choice players who are available are going to play because that is going to be our toughest match. What we're going to want to see in Brazil is, progress. And there were some periods where we're talking about, like, it was a mess. We stepped back in some ways. But part of that was because, a bunch of guys left. And some of the guys that subbed in didn't get a lot of time. Brendan Daly debuted, so he had no time in the previous two matches. And, I saw him once with the ball in hand, and I love when locks run, and then he sort of disappeared. So I'm going to want to see him, like, be involved. But, yeah, I agree with you. It was a mess, especially the last 20 minutes of the first half for me. We just played a lot of defense, and we just weren't able to run our offense as effectively. And maybe that has to be with, how Chile raised their level. Because I talked about this earlier tonight. Chile played a very low standard game of rugby against Brazil. And then, they raised their level against Argentina 15 with really a Chilean B side to an extent. And then after some of those guys rested didn't even suit up for the next match, they, started those guys and brought them up to, Fullerton. And, they just played defense with heart. But to an extent, I think we have this issue with playing down to our opponent, per se.
That's interesting. Like I said, I think the best thing about it was getting to see a lot of new faces. I think the worst thing about it was a lot of the new faces are pretty inexperienced. So, yeah.
I think that led to a lot of the issues, is because you had the mix of the new guys with some of the old guys, and it just led to chemistry issues.
Well, guys, let me jumping into my comments of the match, which I haven't gave yet. So, as Corey mentioned, the game was really sloppy, and as I'm already accustomed to as a U.S. rugby fan, it is common for the U.S. men's national team to have a slow start, to only get better in the end, and that was the case here, of course. Now, the Chile side that came to Fullerton, that was actually their B side, because many of the players got rested after the game with Argentina 15 that they had in Ushuaia.
So it depends on – I disagree. So I did the player tracking. It was definitely a B-side last week. And, the game they're going to win, they're going to try and win, was Brazil. And, I posted the roster comparisons. But I do agree that – okay – it was a B-side in a different way. Whereas against Argentina, it was you didn't have a bunch of their first choice back. Whereas against us, you didn't have a bunch of their first choice backs, if that makes any sense.
It does, yeah. But again, that's one of the main reasons as to why. And I was really surprised, actually, that even as a B-side, whether it was the back or the forwards, they played with heart and had some moments of brilliance here and there, but of course, obviously that wasn't enough for them to get the win. Now, the ball handling errors and the penalties given by the USA were obviously welcomed by the Condors. But the Eagles' defense, of course, proved too much. And after the home team got into the groove of things, come the second half, of course, it was over for Chile, obviously. Now, I was happy to see that the debutants left their mark on the match, with tries, obviously, by Malang Aljibouri and Paul Asike, defensive work by Sam Wushing, and really good line-out work by Brendan Daly alongside Dylan Fawcett, of course, with his throws. And, of course, the next challenge is Brazil away, and that will be obviously a really good preparation for the match against Uruguay the following week. So, all in all, I think the Eagles are probably going to go 5-0 in this competition if we don't get another blunder like we did in Brazil 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's like some salt in the wound, man. The first time we ever played Brazil, we lose away, and then you have to do some thinking about why we didn't perform so well. Now I know why, but there's no reason to talk about it. But Brazil is going to can be a tough game if we do not get out of our heads and we make errors. Because we made errors like we did in the first half, I think Brazil will make it a little bit tough. But if we do it right, we can put 70 on them like we should have put 70 on Chile. That's what I think.
I agree. And Chile, this past couple of seasons have been going up and down. I believe I previously mentioned that they have gone through 3 different head coaches in the past 2 years. They had a relatively good November series going to the Cup of Nations in Hong Kong, and I think they got second place to Russia, who I believe won that. And of course, they got a couple of matches in Europe. But Brazil has been on an upward trajectory, and for the fact that Brazil beat them at home, first time that Brazil has beaten Chile in Chile, I think that match is going to be a lot harder in comparison to the Condors match that the Eagles just had. And keep in mind that Brazil's squad is always their first choice. And since this game is at home, it's a lot easier for them to get the guys coming from Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo to meet up in San Jose dos Campos, which is where they play their matches.
With this one, I mean, I don't think it's a trap game based on everything. Because if we look at it, we look at the fall. So the Germany we played, right? The week before put 50 on Germany. And then we put 50 on Germany. So what should happen is we should put like 70 or 80. Well, Alex, so we got a question in the comments. What from Super Sentai? What's up, man? What happened to Spike? I don't know. Sam McGuffey is on the bobsled team in the Winter Olympics. So if you've been wondering where he's been on the bobsled team for the last 2 years. Lorenzo Thomas, I don't know, man. I mean, he's still playing rugby. I can tell you that. He played, I'm pretty sure he played in the PRP last 2 weekends, I think. Alex Elkins, he's in camp for the ARC. So he did sign with the Houston Sabercats. That was announced last Tuesday. So, I think that covers that.
Cool.
So thanks
for the question.
Also, guys, real quick, since Super Sentai is watching this live, Super Sentai, brother, let me know in the comments when you get a chance, since you're a Super Sentai fan, what do you think about the new Power Rangers coming up in 2019, since they're going to take the 2012 series instead of 2017 series? So let me know. It's called Beast Morphers. Apparently it looks really cool. So again, let me know.
So, and if you have any thoughts on Pokemon Go, let me know.
And our Power Rangers, do let me know.
Any further comments on the match, guys?
I got one more thing to mention as it relates to Major League Rugby. There were a lot of players represented. Of the 23 that played against Chile, 14 were for Major League Rugby teams, which is including Milan Al-Jabori, who has not been officially confirmed yet.
Well, not from them, but
True.
USA Rugby did not list him as USA Sevens. They list him as San Diego Legion. So there is that.
Well, we saw how the Angus McClellan thing worked out too. There,
yeah, I get told no 2 weeks in advance after we had found it first, right? And then, 2 weeks later, USA Rugby comes out about it, and they're like, and then it's like, no, I was like, whatever, don't care. Yeah. I always look at the hookers because I'm a hooker. Dylan Fawcett off the bench. Good job. And I think he butchered a condor because his shirt was bloody. So
that's true. I saw that.
Moving on. You got an Empire State of Mind, guys. I don't know where Dan is, but Victor, you got your team.
That's right, bro. Couldn't be more happy with that. Well, I hope Dan comes by the time I'm done with my little piece. So definitely, guys, it feels really good, obviously, to have confirmation that Rugby United New York is included in the 2019 plans for Major League Rugby. And I posted a picture on social media, in case you haven't seen it on the Twitter, with a camp of a couple players that are going to be playing an exhibition series starting in March. I did recognize a couple players in that picture. You got center James Kelly, as well as Luke Hume, a famous winger of the U.S. team. Also, a New York Rugby Club player and friend of the show, Mr. Willie Dominguez. Hola, Willie. He was also in. A couple of players from NYAC, I'm sure, are going to be inside of the team, but of course, we're down in Houston. The coaching staff, of course, is New York City expected as well, with a former U.S. Eagles coach, Mike Tolkien, and a buddy of his, Mr. Bruce McLean, that's connected with Iona College. I can't wait, obviously, for the match on March 24 versus the Boston Mystics, a team that is either Mystic River with a different name or a possible new entry in MLR as well. So we'll see what happens. Yep.
No, Dan. So I will read Dan's comments verbatim. I think that works out. Unless Josh wants to read his comments verbatim.
I was just trying to figure out what he was trying to say.
So he said, "Fucking righteous," and then he spoke with Nishant and Kevin from Rugby United New York today. Loves what they're putting together. The interview will be available on SoundCloud whenever Corey produces it. I don't know why he said Wednesday. From all reports, they are being inclusive of the entire Empire GU, not just at NYC. They're building a sustainable model with the aims of growing rugby in the region and contributing to the national team. And Dan is all for it. So, moving on. So this was a big one. The San Diego Legion announced their coaching staff and the stadium that they will be playing in. On Friday, San Diego Legion announced their staff. What do you guys think of the Legion staff?
Not much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I go ahead, Victor. Seriously, I don't have anything to add.
Oh, very well. I mean, I was waiting for one of you guys since Dan is not here. Well, besides Zach Tess, I really don't know anyone else on the coaching staff, so I can't have much of an opinion on the subject, in all honesty. Now, the great thing is that we know all 7 coaches of the inaugural Major League Rugby season. And by the way, guys, I do suggest that we need to do a compare and contrast section before the start of the season to see how each individual coach may lead their team to victory. So that's probably something that we'll do maybe early April as we get closer to the start of the season.
Sounds like a good idea.
Josh,
what do you think, man?
You know, I thought it was good staff for what they have. I know Cracknell's the forwards coach. We played sevens a lot. I figured the forwards coach would be a bit more of a forward, I would say. So I guess that's right now. That would be my only concern with the Legion would be their forwards. So,
well, I mean, I listened to that, and then I know he's been like he was England's first, fully contracted sevens guy, and then he, was a player coach with sevens, and then he coached as an assistant while he played with England women's sevens, and then obviously, he was the director of women's rugby for Fiji. So I know all that seven stuff, but he did, I think he put up over 30 appearances with the Premiership, playing 15s, and then he was while he was playing sevens, he was the director of rugby for the club he played in as a kid. So now when it comes to like your forwards coach, propping is difficult. So I understand that. But as far as like locks and loose forwards, shouldn't be an issue there. Then you got Testy. Love seeing Test, grinding it out. Becoming a coach. He worked with the SoCal Griffins this last year, coach SDSU in sevens. And then Rob, he was an age grade defense coach with Wales and was the defense coach at Wasps back in 2009 to 2012. And then then he coached in Japan for 2 years before coming to the United States. So I think it's a really good staff. And here's the important part that differentiates, them from, others is that there are no player coaches.
Yeah.
Think about that, So some of the teams have player coaches.
I like this comment from Dan. I expect to see lots of champagne rugby in San Diego. Almost all announced players are Eagles backs, and even the coaches are primarily backs. The forwards coach was even a flanker/sevens player. Maybe if Seattle hadn't signed every front row in the country, then we'd see more out of San Diego.
And the funny thing is that he's right. That is a funny thing.
Oh, it's so true, though. I'm sort of excited about what they're going to be able to do. So,
well, I also just wanted to say, I think it's good to see them actually announcing some stuff. And I know we've been a little bit critical of their silence lately, but it sounds like they're doing the work and building the team rather than worrying about the PR stuff. So I guess they're just going to let their performance on the pitch next or later this year speak for itself at this point. So the other nice thing about San Diego, which we know, is they've got a very dedicated community already built that have slid over from the Breakers straight over to the Legion. So it's good to see. So, hey, we had actually another comment come in. If you guys don't mind jumping back to the RUNY discussion for just 1 second.
Yeah. Yep.
Ryan commented, he thinks it's pretty amazing that an expansion team, Rugby United, is joining MLR without MLR even having played a single game or having a single game under its belt. So I can't tell, Ryan, if you're being a little sarcastic there or if you're just genuinely happy about that, but I actually think it is pretty cool. I don't know about you guys, but it bodes well for seeing this thing going more than one season.
The process looks pretty smart, right? Because they're starting from, nothing. So what we're going to see here is like the Arrows and Rugby United New York is they're playing, high-level club matches, the season before they become full members of the league, at least with New York's case. So it says about confidence with the league, but I'll also point out that James Kennedy tried to get a Pro 14 team here. And for some reason, they just went to South Africa. He was ready to go, like start construction on I think the same piece of property that he's going to start construction on for Rugby United New York. And he's obviously moved on and is going to support a domestic league. He's a man with, a significant amount of cash, and it says a lot about his vision for rugby in the United States and what he said they want to do.
So let me ask you, Aaron, since you're our resident inside MLR guy, that preseason status where they play current MLR teams, does that become standard for the future?
It will be to an extent, because I think at some point, there won't be an ability to do so.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you will have to raid other rosters for players, and you will have to draft players in from the collegiate game, because you're going to have to I think you're going to have your academy set up first, right? Won't it make more sense as like, hey, you're an expansion team. Well, you're going to hopefully the quality of rugby is so high that you have to, be investing in developing talent before you can even get to the pitch, because there just won't be enough.
So I guess that transitions. So if it becomes to the point where they can't play the Major League Rugby teams, do they play the academy teams?
That will be a way forward, I think.
All right.
It's going to have to be an incremental process.
Yeah.
And hopefully eventually we're going to be at the point where, just like in the NHL, like I'm talking about. So you look at the NHL, you look at the expansion teams in the NFL, you have the expansion draft, which literally raids players from other teams, right? And then you have like the regular draft, which brings in new players.
Perfect example is what happened with the new Las Vegas Knights team, which is just an amalgamation of other players coming from the other 30 franchises. So, yeah, that's a perfect example. Okay, guys, let me take the word real quick. Two things. One, because we haven't mentioned it, 45-13 was the score with Chile and the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles won 45-13. Second, just to go over real quick the coaching staff of the Legion, because I don't think we haven't mentioned many names. So first of all, Rob Holley is head coach. He's an English guy. Zach Tess, we already mentioned. You may know him from the Sevens team of the U.S. He is backs coach and academy director. Then you got, who we mentioned already, Chris Cracknell, forwards and breakdown coach. Then you have Roy Holmes, performance manager. And finally, Henry Dembronski, I hope my Polish was pronounced correctly, who's a performance specialist. So that's a breakdown of the Legion team.
So, the performance specialist guys are employees at Exos. So I kind of went past them because, I will say their resumes as far as strength and conditioning, they're top notch. These guys train NFL players to prepare them for the draft. I think so. 2 years ago, half of the first round draft picks trained at Exos facilities. Think about that. Like, that's the kind of facility and that's the kind of strength and conditioning program the Legion are going to be in. So it's going to be pretty hot.
There you go. Moving on.
So player signings, we only had one officially. So Josh, take that one.
Yeah, the Seattle Seawolves seem to be signing somebody every week. So this week we got not a front row player. We got Peter Mario Eagle number 510. He's been a member of the Seattle Saracens and the WAC Sevens. He's an alumni of the University of Arizona Rugby program, and he was a bronze medalist for Team USA at the 2011 Pan American Games.
Yeah, Tibbs, man, can't wait to see him back, because so we sort of had a revolving door in the centers, and now I think I liked Tiberio as a sevens player, and I sort of felt like he got captain, sort of disappeared, and I didn't know why for 15s. So I think you're going to see Tiberio, you're going to see Bender. They're going to be back on the radar for the Eagles. Bender, I guess he wants to be on that Olympic sevens team again. That's one of his goals. So, moving on, tweet of the week. What do we got, Josh? This was pretty cool, actually.
So we had from Twitter, Seagolis, USAR asked to describe the ARC homestand in emojis. And he tweeted out thumbs up, thumbs down, with USA thumbs up and all of our opponents thumbs down. And Victor caught this, but he accidentally used the Uruguay flag for Argentina.
Which I had to change, by the way. I don't know how you confuse those two flags. I mean, they're the same color, but I mean, the sun is on the corner of one in Uruguay and the middle in Argentina, so I don't know how you confuse those two flags, bro. Seriously. Like, how's that possible?
What? I mean, no. Oh yeah. Never mind.
This one's like thinking, yo, let me mess him up. Oh no, he's right. Like, I can't. I got nothing against him.
If it's not an American flag, it don't matter.
So I tried to do this.
Wow, dude.
So I was trying to give a shout out to top countries from last week and top cities from last week, and there was no on my emoji keyboard. Sadly, there was no UK flag.
What?
You look for Great Britain?
Yeah, there was no
make any sense.
on my Android freaking keyboard. There was no.
No way. Give me a second. I'll check on mine. Give me a second. There's no way.
So let me. I guess I'll look at the G's. Let me look at the G's on this keyboard, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the U. I'm looking at the U's, right? So
yeah, of course. Yeah, the end. I'll tell you right now if I say it myself.
So G. So after Germany, yep, Georgia.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's not in the U's. You're right.
And it's not
right now.
So great. So after Greece, it's not there on mine. Like,
I'm looking, bro. I'll tell you right now.
It's like this is BS. You know what I'm saying?
Of course I know. Oh no! It is in the G's. Right there between Gabon and Grenada. It is in the G's. I just saw it.
What? Gabon.
Yeah, it's there. Seriously, don't lie.
So
okay, so let me see. 1, 2.
Oh yeah,
3,
I see it.
4.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
On the fourth page. On the fourth page. I told you.
I got it. But I'm looking for United Kingdom.
Well, no, you should be looking for Great Britain.
Yeah, obviously.
Great Britain.
United Kingdom of Great Britain. So
and Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Northern Ireland.
Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So jack that up. So moving on to
that was funny.
News, views, and abuse. A lot of things happened, man. Canterbury Rugby Union and the BNZ Crusaders purchased a minority ownership of the Seattle Seawolves. I think we cut that out from last week. Sabercats updated their preseason schedule, dropping Mystic on April 7th and traveling to San Diego to meet the Legion instead. Shout out to the Captain's Run for noticing this one. Although I think we noticed it before then. I'm pretty sure. There's 5 people. We have a lot of eyes. But no, serious. Etch, good job. And related to that, Houston will take on NOLA Gold this Saturday. It is Mardi Gras night in Houston. And the Texas A&M and LSU will play as the doubleheader ahead of that. And it will be broadcast on 11 Sports. So that's cool. So 2 for 1 if you buy tickets. And I'm told there is a 400-pound crawfish boil going down from Tiny Guidry. All right. Utah Warriors play 3 preseason matches against the Glendale Raptors, the Ontario Arrows, and the Alberta Wolfpack, respectively. NOLA Gold High School Rugby Combine will be on 4 March at Gretna Park. And the Dallas Griffins had an article in the Dallas Business Journal, and they're eyeing entry into 2019 and hope to have their stadium contract for the 2019 season set. The Seattle Seawolves single game tickets are now available. Middle section is completely sold out, so you better hurry. Oh, Glendale just started their single game tickets sales, and the players announced by other means. We had, I guess we could say Andrew Suniula is – no, we talked about that last week, I thought. No, it was on Tuesday. Well, that's official. I know that for a fact. Elkins is also official. We talked about – didn't we talk about Z Nwenya last week?
Nope.
All right, well, there's Z Nwenya. And, he was with Nick Evans running on a Woodway treadmill. So was Malone Aljibori, I believe, and Gil no.
It was Covey and Broussard.
It was Gil Covey and Derek Broussard. I saw Malone Aljibori and something else, I'll tell you what. And Joseph Nichols were also signed by teams, waiting on official confirmation. And finally, questions from Bob.
Quick correction, Aaron. That LSU Texas A&M match is after the Ontario Arrows preseason match.
Oh, man, I jacked that up. Oh, whatever. Well, March 3rd, so you won't get the crawfish boil, but you will get some maple syrup.
Good enough.
Yeah, we got some questions. Thank you for Bob OG for sending in a few of them this week. And sorry we're not getting to all of them, Bob. We're running a little short on time, but we'll do what we can do. So first up from Bob B. Bobberson, he asks, is rugby better in snow or rain?
Mud. This is the Earful of Dirt podcast. This is about playing mud rugby. Okay? Thank you.
I will say in that league that we will no longer mention that the first match between Denver and Ohio was one of the best matches I've ever seen.
And it was snow.
I've played in the snow. It's not bad when you're playing. It's bad when you come off the pitch. So if you're on the bench, you're screwed.
That's generally true with snow. As long as you keep moving, you're fine. Hey, Josh, out of curiosity, were you at that first match?
Yes, I was.
That's pretty special. For what it's worth. Okay, sorry, moving on. Bob would also like to know, in your opinion, and I'm assuming we're talking in MLR, would an unintentional dick tackle be a penalty, a yellow card, or a red card?
Unintentional? Well, I think they're just unintentional. I've seen those unintentional ones. Intentional ones are straight up red, man. Straight up.
Ouch.
That's a no-go.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Any other thoughts on that one?
Nope.
It just hurts.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yeah.
What was you want to hear? It just hurts.
What was it? Someone asked about cups. I don't know anyone who wears cups in rugby. Maybe we should start. Maybe we shouldn't. I've never worn a cup in rugby, so yeah.
Move that up to the top of the list, right, with helmets, huh?
Yep.
The last question tonight comes from Flippity Floppy 10. Has a fantastic screen name.
Name's
Flippity Floppity 10 would like to know, with recent signings from the Chicago Lions, players coming down to different clubs, MLR clubs, what is the likelihood Chicago is still going to join MLR in 2019?
Well, if you saw the team that they fielded against Sabercats, a lot of those guys had some really solid, great resumes that, are probably prospects for, either the Chicago Lions itself, if they do enter the MLR, or, another team. Because, you had tons of dudes who had high-level academy experience from Ireland. It's just a massive city, and it's one of those cities that attracts those kind of people, per se. So I think they won't necessarily have issues, to be honest. I think the biggest issue for them is physical plant stuff.
I gotta agree with you, and I think we kind of had the exact same question when we started hearing rumors about a Canadian side coming on next year, and then we also saw a bunch of Canadian nationals coming down to Seattle and some of the other clubs. So I don't think players playing season 1 or even signing a 2-year deal from any particular locations necessarily tells you whether they're going to field a team or not. I mean, Chicago would have no problem attracting players from all over the place to come up there as well. It's a fantastic city. There's a lot going on there, and we got a lot to offer anybody who would go. So I don't see a few players moving off the Lions squads or any of the other teams up there as meaning anything at all for a potential Chicago side. So I'm still hopeful. I'm still pulling for a Midwestern team. So that's my hope.
Well, I thought, I'm from California, so Denver's kind of Midwestern for me.
Yeah, yep, that's definitely not the Mountain West.
Just minus the corn.
If you got mountains, you're not the Midwest. Sorry. Let's just break it down that way. Boom. Mic drop. Okay. So, guys, is there anything else, or are we wrapping it up for the night?
Man.
Final thoughts.
We're done.
I got nothing.
Check out the Eagles against the Tupies in Brazil on the Rugby channel, or if you are not into that, it will be on ESPN3 the next morning. So if you're a nerd like me, you're probably going to watch it twice. The second time, it's probably going to be rewound about 30 times. So that's all I got.
Sounds good, guys. Well, as usual, we'll end the show, everyone. So first of all, thank you, everyone, for watching the live stream. By the way, we had 1.7 watching, which for some of you probably think, oh, that's not a lot, but to us, a lot of people. 7 people listening to this live. That's great. So, of course, thank you for those who have done so. And, of course, guys, thank you for listening once again to the Earful of Dirt podcast. Keep in mind, this was episode number 24. We're getting there. That's really good. Number 24. So, guys, of course, make sure to subscribe to our channel. That will be Earful of Dirt podcast. And that will be, of course, on YouTube. Make sure to like us, of course, on our social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all of them as Earful of Dirt. I don't really mention it often, but if you haven't, make sure to check out, of course, the Reddit page of Reddit, reddit.com/r/ML Rugby, if you haven't done so already, to keep up with the news of Major League Rugby as they come. On top of that, make sure to visit our website, earfulofdirt.com, where we are, of course, writing a couple of articles regarding games and the like. And that falls on Josh's part for the most part, and Aaron for that time as well. Both of them great writers, so make sure to check that out. Excuse me. And also make sure to add us to iTunes, Acast, Google Play, Stitcher, Player FM, and leave us a review if you haven't done so already. Still waiting for those 5-star reviews so we can read it out loud. And finally, guys, make sure to call us to our phone number, which still no one hasn't done so. I'm quite surprised. And that will be 1-720-600-2679. Again, that's 1-720-600-2679. And with that, everyone, we have come to an end of another great episode of the Major League Rugby podcast. So once again, my name is Victor. That was Aaron. That was Josh. That was Corey. And, well, Daniel, who got lost in the shuffle of the MTA train system. Well, you'll see it next week, I guess. So, guys, have a great night. I will catch you next week.
Good night.
Good night.